Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Someone in the middle of the early part of the 20th century, a statesman said that if you want to start a war, start it no later than when you're in the 50s. Because once you get into the 60s and up, he said you change. So you do it while you are still young, in his opinion, and accomplished a little bit intellectually. That means you got the knowledge. I mean, you can't wait to start a war 3 days before you die, because that's how much information you have to gather. So then that's only then when you're going to be ready to start a war. So he said, well, by 40, you don't lose your energy or vitality of a young person. Well, Biden is what? 1,000 and Putin is going to be 70. So it seems like we're going to have another war on our hands, and the Balkans. And it seems like they are getting ready. And I've been saying this for some time, and I think there's no surprise to anyone that the Serbs will never be, unless you brainwash them for generations, and you put the right people where they need to be in order to keep the brainwashing flowing continuously. They will never accept Kosovo being outside of Serbia. And what can I say? There are some tensions in Kosovo, as you know, and there are some so-called peacekeeping missions in NATO. Not that kind of peace. Peacekeeping mission, about 3,500 or something, 3,400 NATO Defense Alliance personnel in Kosovo, making sure that the Serbs don't take back what they claim to be theirs, right? Because NATO is a defensive alliance, not a policeman of the world, right? So, Reuters, August 17th, 2022. NATO, the defensive alliance, says it is ready to step up forces if Serbia-Kosovo tensions escalate. It's ready to defend its alliance, right? I thought that NATO has a number of states that are members, and if one of them is somehow attacked by an outside enemy, they will all get together and destroy that enemy, defend the attacked NATO member. I thought that this was the whole spiel when the Warsaw Pact was, the other side, but the other side dispersed, disbanded. So why do we still have these guys against whom? We know exactly whom. And it plays actually three roles, NATO, I think. One, Russia in this case. China will be, so destroy competition by any pretext. And the other one, I think, is a defensive alliance, obviously if someone attacks, and the other one is protecting the economic interests of the countries, not the countries, the businesses, certain businesses within those countries. So it's like a police, private army of the business business community. Some business, not you and I, if we start, you know what I mean, big business. And the other one is the police of the world. If they decide in economic interest of their, industries and banking systems, that they have to intervene somewhere, they will find something in that country and they will show up and they will defend I don't know who, but I guess the interests, all right, the economic. So that's what NATO is right now, and it's been for the past I think 30 years since Russia, Soviet Union disappeared. So let's see, they want to add more forces in Kosovo. Why? First, Kosovo is not a NATO member, neither is Serbia, isn't it? So you have nothing over there. If United Nations, there will be a different story. Peacekeeping mission, that's fine. But NATO? That's the first one. The second one, who gives you the right? Oh, the Kosovo invites you over there? What if the Russians just show up as the Americans showed up in Syria? Is that acceptable? You remember how the American troops showed up in Syria? Sovereign country. Let's say Kosovo. Let's say tomorrow the Chinese land somehow in Kosovo and they put a base over there with whatever, I don't know what kind of natural resources Kosovo has. I heard they got something that everybody will need in the future, but I'm not certain about that. So they're gonna land over there and they take over. Would that be okay? No. Okay. Just want to make sure. So Brussels, NATO will increase its peacekeeping force in Kosovo if there is an escalation of tensions with neighboring Serbia, the alliance chief said on Wednesday, on the eve of EU-facilitated talks between the estranged Western Balkan neighbors. And I'm quoting, "We have now a significant mission, a military presence in Kosovo, close to 4,000 troops." Jens Stoltenberg told a news conference after talks with Serbia's President Aleksandar Vučić in Brussels, who stood alongside him. That means if you don't behave, we're gonna smack you. So you have to behave by our, how do you call it, script. So we give you the script and you have to behave according to our script. You can't have your script and you can't follow anybody else's script. For some reason, this is the only script available that this guy's NATO, United States, provides. And if anybody deviates, that's unacceptable, creates tensions, and we can bomb them again like in 1999. Because reasons to bomb a country seems nowadays that are not necessarily based on facts. I have to point out, for instance, our evidence and reasons. Iraq war, they said the guys had weapons of mass destruction. They didn't have, nevertheless, they did what they did. So it was the pretext, right? Based on some premises. The same here. If they want to say that, I don't know, a Serbian guy drives over the speed limit and crashes somewhere in a city in Kosovo, that could be an escalation of tensions. So therefore, they can do whatever they want. I'm just giving you stupid examples because that's how they think of us. Being stupid. So if needed, we will move forces, deploy them where needed, and increase our presence. That means Serbia, be careful. Don't do anything. Don't do anything that we don't like. And then he says the tensions between them flared with that license plate thing and registration thing. So, however, Vučić told the news conference at NATO that talks with Kurti on Thursday, which will be facilitated by EU, would be difficult because the two sides disagree on most everything. So, Kurti, who met Stoltenberg later, underlined Kosovo's resolve to become a NATO member. Of course, just give it to me. So, this guy's gonna... Somehow the European Union will discuss something that has nothing to do with the European Union. Somehow NATO is involved. These two countries have nothing to do with NATO. If they have something to do, they have something to do with regional countries. And they have something to do with United Nations. That's the only thing they have. That's it. They have nothing with NATO. NATO have nothing. NATO bombed them, and I'm talking about the Serbs, in 1999. It was not legal bombardment, just so you know. So if it's not legal, that means you qualify to be called and tried and, you know, right? Like they call Putin right now because illegal invasion or whatever, unprovoked. So no NATO member, no European Union members. Why is Europe, Brussels, the one who makes sure that facilitates the whole thing? Why is NATO still there? So I'm assuming that Russia will bring some personnel over there in once Kosovo will get more NATO troops. Russia somehow, and I don't know how, will get Russian troops. Why? Because I know that remember when Lavrov wanted to go to Serbia, the weasel countries around Serbia closed their airspace for his plane, so he couldn't go. So then how are the Russians going to bring some things? Unless they bring some things with Serbian planes, under Serbian, and they can't really close their airspace for Serbia. Or they can do anything they want. But I'm just saying, if there's a transport of Russian military on a Serbian airplane, then they can do. But then the same, if they donate or they have airplanes to bring certain weapons, that could be probably done with Serbian companies. I'm assuming, because I don't know, these guys can do whatever they want and they call it legal. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. We are heading that way.